Behold, my glorious supporter, True Mr.FOoT, claims that no internet handles are cool. Internet handles cannot be cool. Mr. FOoT says, there's this theory I've had for a while now. There are no cool nicknames on the internet. The whole concept of an internet name is sort of silly. Internet names might be silly, edgy, boring, or uncreative, any number of adjectives really, but they are never cool, claims Mr. FOoT. Sadly, I do not remember the origin of Mr. FOoT. I added the True some 9 odd years ago after I found out there was another random Chinese Mr. FOoT on Steam. I've grown used to this name, but I still don't think it's a cool nickname. What's the origin of XandyPants? And have you ever thought about this topic before? I sure have. There are 2 parts to this answer. The first one is why XandyPants, and the second one is have I thought about like XandyPants is not a cool nickname. There are no cool nicknames before. Yes, I have, and I have things to say about that. So part number 1, why XandyPants? There's a whole word cloud of answers. In college, I had a very close friend who I don't talk to anymore. We went our separate ways, and she called me XandyPants. Simple as that. So that's why I thought about it. But you know, there's a lot of origins. There's a lot of reasons she called me that. One of them is that when I was in grade school, so I was in kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, all the way up to 8th grade with the same class. I know that sounds crazy to some people, but I went to a school where sort of elementary school and middle school were the same. They were both the same. It was the same place. That you get it. Okay. And, you know, they were kind of separate. They were separate buildings, but they were literally right next to each other. And it's not like you never spend any time crossing between the two. And this meant that, you know, you got to know people so much that it kind of ceased to be about whether you liked people or not. You just knew them for so long that this is just a person who is, you know, which I thought was, it was interesting. It led to a lot of odd, I wasn't like particularly well liked or particularly not just very shy and awkward up through 8th grade, but that did lead to a lot of really interesting things where I was treated a way you would never be treated as that kind of person if you only spent like 4 years with the people. Anyway, in a good but weird way. I had a very odd relationship to the rest of my class. And it's not like it was only me. I wasn't the most awkward kid in existence, but you get it. I kind of did my own thing. I didn't wear shorts for that entire time, basically. Like, obviously, when we were in 1st or 2nd grade or something, there were times where I just had no agency, really. So, sure, I wore shorts, but I basically never chose to wear shorts. It was a solid almost decade that some people that I saw basically every day at school never saw me wear anything except pants. In the summer, forget it. Just still pants. On the very last day of 8th grade, I wore shorts. And you got to understand, from the context of this class, people freaked the hell out. This was a huge deal for no good reason. My closest friend at the time sort of paraded me around like shorts, and everybody in my class freaked out. And it was this joke that we had. This is what happens when you're with people for like 10-ish years. By the way, education system, while it was very interesting, personally don't really recommend that strategy. Anyway, moving on. You can see how, because my friend in college knew that story, she thought it was funny to kind of attach that to me. But it also has a nice little bounce. XandyPants. It's got a nice little bounce. Cool. Great. And then, of course, Xandy is, I think, a good sort of moniker version of my actual name. I don't want you to call me my name in real life, because this, as much as I'm not being ingenuine with you all, this isn't me in real life. This is the part of me that I'm deciding to share. I would like to be called this thing. I do also think there's a very important point here about you know, respecting the name that people say they want. You know, you might know that Xandy is kind of a connected nickname to some further larger name, but you do not say that name because I didn't ask to be called that name. You say the name that I asked to be called. Nobody listening to this video needs to be told this, but over the years there have been only a few people that have tried to sort of cozy in and say, a full name or something, which is very rude. You would not do that to anyone else. You do not do that there. Anyway, and the final reason is connected to kind of my segue to, me thinking about the topic of how nicknames are just not cool. I think XandyPants is a good internet handle for a creator, for kind of a business, for someone making entertainment, for a few reasons. But it's not because it's cool sounding or something. It sounds ridiculous, which is why it's a good choice, in my opinion. It doesn't sound like I'm trying to be the dude with the big headshot damage, the big overkill damage. There's a subtle effect that goes over a lot of people's heads. It doesn't work plenty of the time, but I am quite confident that there is a still meaningful, however marginal, benefit to having a name that is, I think, kind of unostentatious. It's just silly and fun. We're just going to play some games. The logo is literally pants with an X. I'm either very childish, in which case, okay, well, at least I'm not, and then you hear me speak and I say, I hope that this helps you have more fun with the game. I don't see how that doesn't paint you a picture of what I want you to get out of the thing. And if you go into the video, even having heard all that stuff, thinking, where's this guy's damage isn't big enough. Like, if you're not a complete moron, I just don't care about that because of all of the evidence, and I think that XandyPants helps with that. It is also, finally, good, in my opinion, from a psychological perspective, to have a name that can be made into a further nickname, can be further truncated. You wouldn't want the channel to be called Xandy, because people getting to know me better, for the part of me that we're sharing together, and then you say Xandy instead of XandyPants. Yeah, the Xandy is the one I actually like at this point. It feels more like accurate to me, or it fits me better, or whatever. XandyPants is a little clunky for a full name. It can be fun, but it's like how you might call someone their full name and then abbreviate it a little. It does establish a social contract a little more. There is a sort of rapport developed when you do that thing. Like in Japanese, when you broach the thing to calling someone their first name or whatever, if you're closer to them. I mean, it's a thing in English too. I'm just saying there's a kind of, the fact that it can be made into a nickname creates a little bit of an in thing, but nobody doesn't know what you mean. It's not like a different word. It's just part of the name. And I think that is intimate in a way that is healthy for the type of relationship we have. Cool. That's most of what I had to say about, how I've thought about it. I just feel like I have considered changing it. I could change it, but there's a lot of reasons not to do that. There's some reasons to do that. I think it would help get away from the build stuff that I don't want my channel to be locked into, but there's a big drawback there. It's not worth it. I'm probably not going to do that. And I think there are a lot of benefits. I do think that names say a lot about people's channels, but nowadays a lot of people just kind of stick with what they got. So I don't know, maybe sometimes it's important to be charitable about the edgy name someone picked a long time ago that just kind of worked, and then they grew up, they picked that when they were 15 and then it became this thing, right? I picked this as an adult, so I bear full responsibility, but a lot of people picked it when they were an edgy teenager, and then they became 23 and chilled the hell out a little bit. And now the name is just still there, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I think most of us have probably grown sort of inured to that. We've read so many names like that we don't really register much from it. It's only when a name is just ridiculous. I feel like XandyPants is memorable, to finally say the thing. You said internet nicknames would be silly, edgy, boring, or uncreative, any number of adjectives really. And I think what makes an internet nickname good is you knowing which adjectives it is. That's pretty much all I have to say. I hope that was what you were looking for as an answer. I agree with this theory about the no cool nicknames thing. Do I know why? No, that might be a topic for another time. But I agree with you. I think it's because you're naming yourself. It seems ostentatious and silly. I don't know. Anyway, a fun one.